All right. Good morning, guys. Welcome to the first episode of Kings and Gods, and I'd just like to talk about a topic that I began a lot of questions about, which is can Christians be depressed? Can a child of God experience depression? And people have different ideologies about it, but whenever you're going to describe a spiritual concept, you can only use the scriptures to define it. Can a Christian be depressed? I mean, a lot of people say no, you can't be depressed. The moment you accept Jesus, you're immune to emotions like that. You see, and I think it's interesting because I really thought about it, and I went into the scriptures. I said, you know what? Let me just say something that I've come across, and first I think I'd like to explore what exactly is depression. Let me type that in, and it says it is feelings of severe despondency and dejection, right? Self-doubt creeps in and swiftly turns to depression. Self-doubt, keyword self-doubt, synonyms as misery, sadness, unhappiness, sorrow, woe, gloom, dejection, downheartedness, low spirits, heavy-heartedness, sadness, despair, desolation, and a lot of them. Now, what I see that is constant with this thing is it is an emotional response to something. Is it normal? The question is what happens when you get depressed. So now it is a normal physical response to be sad, right? It is a physical response to be sad. Now, how long you choose to stay sad for is relative. It's dependent on you. You dwell on the negative energies around you, and you just let them stay for a long while. Now, having established that it is a relatively normal physical response, right? Your body responds to this thing. Now, let's look at what the scripture says about it. And I like to think of a particular story that I really liked is 1 Samuel 19, the story of King Saul while he was at home, and David was supposed to come and play him the harp, and he took his spear and was going to spear King David to the wall. So Saul at that time had a problem, jealousy, right? It was jealous of the fact that people were talking about David and talking about him and talking about him. Now, what that did was, it wasn't a bad thing that he heard, but what happened ultimately was Saul lost focus. Now, he lost focus from becoming the king of Israel to becoming jealous of David. Now, if you look at 1 Samuel 19, it says, and Saul was at home with his spear in his hand. Now, the first question you want to ask is, why would Saul have a spear in his hand in his home? Now, the moment he started getting jealous of David, he became paranoid, he became hangry, he started hating, and he dwelt on these emotions rather than actually being a king, because David still went out and fought. Saul was at home wielding a spear in the house. You're a king. You've got gods. He practically has everything he wants, right? But he had a spear. And you see, the truth about it is the moment Saul lost the part, the moment he started focusing on, oh, David, he lost it. He lost it. Now, he was sad, but he dwelt on those emotions and it became depression. Saul was depressed. He was at home, a king. A war is going on, and you're sitting at home with a spear in your hand, in your home. Why? As a Christian, the moment you lose focus, the moment you've lost your way, you allow these emotions to come in. And the reason why, as a Christian, you can't lose focus on God is You're like a fish in the water. You can't take a fish out of the water and expect it to live. It will not live because the water is its source, right? So, as a Christian, the moment you're taken out of God, you can't survive. You can't survive any other thing else because it is only by His grace that we're able to transcend this physical body into becoming spiritual beings. But the moment that source is not there, it becomes a problem, and you can't really keep up with it. So for Saul, he had lost focus of being the king that God chose to becoming hateful of David. And as a normal Christian, it is possible to get depressed. And the question is, you need to identify, what am I doing wrong? Have I lost focus? Do I pray as I used to? Do I read my Bible as I used to? Do I worship God as I used to? When you start, you need to ask yourself these questions when you're getting into that mood, because depression is a mood. When you get into that mood, you need to ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? And this will help you put together the proper answer and the proper response that you should do. So to answer the question, can a Christian be depressed? Yes, a Christian can be depressed, but the question is, what are you going to do to leave that state of depression? What are you going to do to leave that mood? I can say two things. First, you can pray. Secondly, you can read the Bible. Thirdly, you can worship, right? It works for me over time. What I just do is when I start getting into that point where I feel like these emotions are too much and they're weighing me down, I just go home, I pray, I worship, and I speak in tongues. I try to encourage my spirit man, because the mood is affecting my spirit, right? It's not relatively affecting my flesh, it's affecting the man inside of me. So what I do is I go home and I pray and I worship and I lift my spirit, and after that, I just feel wonderful. Why? Because I've taken my focus off the problem to put my focus back on God, to just talk about something. And if you have any questions, if you have anything you want to talk about, you can put it, comment. It'll be good to hear from you and to hear what you think about this. If you have a contrary review as to what I've said, it would also be wonderful to hear from you. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.